Helo, noswaith dda, croeso i'r AMSER STORI eventer. Good evening and welcome to the venture story time. We are a little bit earlier today. We are live at 5. We're just trying different times out and see what sort of response we get to those different times. But for those of you who've joined us before at 6 o'clock, we've been reading The Worst Witch by Jill Murphy, and we've got a really exciting chapter coming up tonight. But before we do that, we'll quickly recap the story of The Worst Witch so far. If you want to go back and watch the other chapters, they're all on our page under the videos tab, or you can watch them on YouTube as well. So we've been following the story of Mildred Hubble, the worst witch at Miss Cackle's Academy. It's Mildred's first term. She's got a friend called Maud. There's a picture of them there at Mildred's room. And they both received a kitten for their first term. And there's Mildred cheating by putting her cat in her satchel. She couldn't get the cat to ride on the broomstick. Then we met Ethel Hallow. She's the bully of the school. Very intelligent, but very bossy. And her and Mildred do not get on at all. So much so that Mildred actually turned her into a pig, albeit by accident, but Mildred turned her into a pig. Then we saw Mildred and Maud having a potions test. They were supposed to make a laughing potion. As you can see, they're not laughing there. Instead, they disappeared. So Mildred had to go to Miss Cackle's office. Miss Cackle is the headmistress. They've also got a form tutor, Miss Hardbroom, who we've met, and you can see she always wears her hair in a very tight bob, and she's very strict and very scary. And then last time, or the last two chapters, Mildred and her class did a broomstick formation to celebrate Halloween. Now, Ethel borrowed, or lent, one of the two, I always get them mixed up, Mildred her broomstick, because Mildred's was broken in the first term. And we thought that Ethel might have been up to something, and indeed Ethel was, because Mildred's broomstick went out of control during the ceremony and brought her and everybody else crashing to the ground till they were just a rubble pile of witches and broomsticks, which didn't please the Grand Wizard at all. And neither did it please Miss Cackle or Miss Hardbroom. So in the last chapter, we saw the girls heading back to Miss Cackle's Academy, and Mildred was so upset in her room with her bats and her little kitten that she actually decided to run away. And that's where we left Mildred last time, running away from Miss Cackle's Academy. So we're on to chapter 8. So get yourself sitting comfortably. I've got a nice pain de day, cup of tea tonight. To keep me nice and warm. I've got my dressing gown as usual and a nice hot water bottle as well. Ready. So, if you're sitting comfortably, then I'll begin. Chapter 8. It was very gloomy in the forest, and Mildred felt slightly uneasy, surrounded by dark trees which grew so thickly together that no light fell between them. When she was almost at the bottom of the mountain, she sat down to rest, leaning her back against a tree, and the kitten climbed out of the bag to stretch itself on the grass. It was very quiet, except for a few birds singing, and a rather strange noise. A sort of low humming, almost like lots of people talking at once. In fact, the more Mildred listened, the more it did sound like voices. She looked in the direction of the noise and thought that she saw something moving amongst the trees. "Let's go and have a look, Tabby," she whispered. They left the bag and the broomstick leaning against the tree and crept through the tangled undergrowth. The noise grew louder. "Why, it is people talking," said Mildred. "Look, Tabby, over there, through the branches." Sitting in a clearing in the gloom were about 20 witches, all crowded together, muttering and talking in low voices. Mildred crept nearer and nearer and listened. She didn't recognise any of them. A tall, grey-haired witch got to her feet. "Listen, everyone," said the grey-haired witch. "Will you all be quiet for a moment? Thank you. Now, what I should like to know is, are we quite sure that they will all be sleeping, or at least be in their rooms?" She sat down, and another witch got up to reply. She was a small, plump witch with green horn-rimmed glasses. Where have we seen green horn-rimmed glasses before? For a horrible moment, Mildred thought it was Miss Cackle. That's where we've seen them. But her voice was different when she spoke. "Of course we are sure," this witch replied. "The morning after Halloween celebrations, the entire school sleeps until midday. It is a rule, and the school is very strict about rules. So no one will be up until 5 minutes to 12 at the very earliest. If we fly over the wall into the back part of the yard, we will be as far away from the bedrooms as we can be, and no one will possibly hear us. Added to this, we shall all be invisible, so we shall be extremely well protected. Then all that remains to be done is to split up, sneak into each room, and turn them all into frogs. They won't be able to even see us, even if they are awake. Remember to take one of these boxes with you for the frogs." She pointed to a neat pile of small cardboard boxes. "We can't have even one of them escaping. Once this is done, the entire school and everyone in it will be under our control." "Is the invisibility potion ready yet?" she continued, turning to a young witch who was at a cauldron stirring it over a fire. It was the same potion that the two M's, that's Maud and Mildred, had made during the laughter potion test. Remember when they made themselves disappear by mistake? "Another few minutes," replied the young witch, dropping a handful of bat's whiskers into the mixture. "It needs to simmer for a bit." Mildred was horrified. She sneaked back to where she had left her bag and then into the shadows so that she couldn't be seen. "What on earth do I do, Tab?" she whispered to the kitten, imagining Maud hopping around like a frog. "We can't let them take over the school." She rummaged through the bag and took out 2 books which she'd brought with her. One was the witch's code, and the other was her spell book. Mildred flicked through the spell book and stopped at the page about turning people into animals. There was only one example given, and that was snails. "Dare I?" thought Mildred. "Dare I turn the whole lot of them into snails?" The kitten looked at her encouragingly. "I know it's against the witch's code, Tabby," she said, "but they don't seem to be following any rules. They were planning to change us into frogs while we were asleep. So I don't see why we shouldn't do the same to them in self-defence." She sneaked back to the clearing, clutching her spell book. "Here goes," she thought desperately. The invisibility potion was being poured out into cups, so Mildred had to work quickly. She waved her arms in a circle towards the crowd of witches. This part of spell making can be very awkward when you don't want to draw attention to yourself, and muttered the spell under her breath. For a second, nothing happened, and the witches milling around the cauldron continued to chatter and bustle about. Mildred closed her eyes in despair, but when she opened them again, everyone had vanished, and on the ground was a group of snails of all different shapes and sizes. "Tabby!" shrieked Mildred. "I've done it! Look!" Tabby came bounding out of the undergrowth and stared at the snails, who were all moving away as fast as they could, which, for a snail, wasn't very fast. Mildred took one of the cardboard boxes and put the snails into it, gently picking them up one by one. "I suppose we'll have to take them back to the school and tell Miss Cackletab," she said, suddenly remembering her interview to come at noon. That's about her. They all thought that Mildred was responsible for the broomstick display failing. Still, we'll have to go back. We can't just leave this lot here, can we? So they set off back up the mountainside, Mildred carrying the box in her arms, while the broomstick flew along with the bag hanging from it, and Tabby riding inside the bag. And there's a picture of Mildred with the box of frogs and the tabby cat hanging from her broomstick. And that's the end of chapter 8. So we've got chapter 9. That looks like Mildred flying back over the school gates, and we'll look at that one tomorrow. And I think we've only got 2 chapters left of The Worst Witch, so it's bound to be very, very exciting. And I'm very proud of Mildred for being able to attack those witches in the forest who are gonna turn all the young witches in Miss Cackle's academy into frogs. Ribbit. Well, there we go. So let's see who's watched with us today. We've had Carol Blay. Hello, Carol. Darcy Griffiths. Hello, Darcy. Some of you may know Darcy from The Land. And Harry McDermott. Hello, Harry. Nice of you to watch with us. So yes, there you go. There you have it. Story time a little bit earlier tonight. We're going to play around with this and see how Facebook and you respond. If you've got any comments, any suggestions, any way in which you want to get involved at all, please get in touch with us. You can do that on here. You can do that on our website, theventurewrexham.com. We'd love to see what you've been up to at home. We went for a walk earlier. We went for a walk yesterday as well. The weather was a bit nicer today. Nice to see some sunshine. But we'd love to know what you've been doing at home and how you've been creative and keeping yourselves busy. But most importantly, it's nice for us to catch up and know that you're all well. And I know that everybody from the play team to the early years centre, from the Val project to Mal and Julie, we all wish you the very best, and we can't wait to see you all again very soon, we hope. So thank you for joining us. I hope it's wound you down for the evening. So all that's left to say is breathe with you on that, sweet dreams, nostar, good night, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Diolch am wylio. Thank you for watching. Ta-ta rwan.